My daddy's girlfriend smells like peaches. That's what my 5-year-old son, Theo, blurted out as I buckled him into his car seat, his little fists still clutching the crumpled drawing he made at preschool. I laughed, sort of, because what else do you do when your kid says something weird and random? Except it wasn't random. The drawing, which I unfolded later in the kitchen, had our house sketched in messy crayon strokes. Green grass, blue roof, 2 windows. 3 stick figures stood in front. 1 clearly me, 1 Theo, and a 3rd woman. Long black hair, a red dress, and a heart drawn between her and the man figure. Not me. I wore sweatpants and a bun that day. I don't even own a red dress. I stared at the page for longer than I'd like to admit. I asked Theo who the lady was. "That's Daddy's friend. She comes when you go to yoga." "I don't go to yoga. I haven't in over a year." But here's the kicker. Theo doesn't lie. He doesn't even know how to lie. He once confessed to sneaking a gummy bear off the floor of a Walgreens and begged me to take him to jail. So when he said it, it locked into me like a bone in the throat. At first, I tried to play the sane wife. I even told myself maybe he saw something on TV. Maybe it was a teacher. Maybe it was some imaginary friend from a stupid YouTube video. But that red dress, that heart. Then I found the note. It was tucked in the front pocket of Theo's tiny backpack. A piece of torn notebook paper, folded once, sloppy cursive, unfamiliar but deliberate. He lies better than you see. The truth is not where you sleep, but where he hides. I swear, I almost threw up. The handwriting wasn't his. It wasn't mine. It looked like something from a high school yearbook from hell. There was no name, no context, just that sickening riddle. I checked the house, then the yard, then the locks. Everything was normal, except it wasn't. That night, I waited for him to come home. Brandon, my husband of 7 years, the man who still kissed my cheek like clockwork, who made grilled cheese for Theo shaped like dinosaurs, who told me last week I was his person during a random Tuesday night wine buzz. He came in late, said work had run over, gave me a tired smile. I showed him the drawing. He blinked, laughed, said, "Babe, he's 5. But there was a twitch at the corner of his mouth, a flicker. I've known that face for a decade. I've kissed every freckle on it. And in that second, I knew something was off. "Do you know a woman with long black hair?" He shrugged. "Lots of women have black hair." Then, "Is this because you've been stressed?" Gaslighting. The word hit like a flashbulb. He kissed Theo's forehead and disappeared into the shower. I sat on the edge of our bed, staring at the bathroom door, hearing the water run and run and run and run. I almost thought I'd imagined it all until I went to throw out the trash the next morning and saw something glittering in the bin. A receipt, crumpled under coffee grounds and a juice box. It was from a boutique florist across town. 1 dozen white peonies. A handwritten card enclosed. "To L. You make life feel brand new." He hadn't bought me flowers in over a year. I didn't even know what to do with the information. It felt like my skin was sliding off my body. Who was L? Why were they in my house? Why did my son think she belonged here? And then there was the drawing. That damn drawing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the way Theo drew the heart, so big and bold and red, like it belonged there, like she belonged there. And just when I thought my chest couldn't tighten any harder, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number, no name, just a photo. It was the inside of our living room, taken from behind the couch, at night. I could see myself walking through, glass of water in hand, alone. At least, I thought I was. In the photo, there was a woman standing behind me. Long, black hair, red dress, watching. The message that followed simply said, "She's already inside."
I dropped the phone. It thudded against the carpet, but it might as well have been a gunshot. My breath came out in a wheeze, sharp and shallow, like I was drowning in my own house. I picked it up again, hands shaking. No name, no sender, no metadata I could trace. The photo was time-stamped at 2:41 a.m. I was home, Brandon was asleep upstairs, and I was walking through the living room, barefoot, carrying a glass of water. Alone, except I wasn't. That figure, red dress, long black hair, pale and narrow as a shadow, was standing right behind me. I zoomed in, hoping it was a smudge or glitch, but no, it was too detailed. I could even see a faint reflection of her in the TV screen behind us. Whoever sent this wasn't just watching us. They were here. I bolted up the stairs 2 at a time. Brandon was asleep, snoring softly. I shook him hard. "What?" he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. I shoved the phone in his face. "Tell me this is a joke." He blinked at the screen, then back at me. "What is this?" "You tell me." His brows furrowed. "Did you download one of those ghost apps again, like that filter thing? Don't gaslight me." He sat up. "Where did this come from?" I didn't answer. I didn't want to give him the power. Not when the walls were already closing in. I scooped Theo out of bed and locked us in the guest room. Brandon banged on the door for 15 minutes before going back to bed, or pretending to. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I called my sister. She worked in tech and was smarter than me by miles. I forwarded her the image. She confirmed it was real. No sign of manipulation. That photo was taken inside your house. "Can you track the number?" "Prepaid. Bounced through 2 VPNs. Whoever it is doesn't want to be found." I felt sick. By lunch, Brandon had flipped his script. "Okay," he said, nervously laughing, "maybe some nutcase snuck into the house. That's terrifying. We should get cameras." "We have cameras," I snapped. "You installed them, remember?" He paused too long. "Right." That's when I checked the system. Every file from the last 2 weeks, gone. Wiped. Even the cloud backups. When I confronted him, he said there'd been a sync issue. The same day, Theo draws another picture. This time, it wasn't outside the house. It was the living room. He and Brandon were playing with Legos on the rug. And standing in the doorway was her. Always her. Theo had drawn her bigger this time, and next to her, he wrote in awkward block letters, "Lena." That was the first time I had a name. I asked him casually, trying not to scare him, "Is Lena nice?" He shrugged. "She said I'll live with her when you go away." I choked. "When I go where, baby?" He blinked. "To the quiet place, where you don't have to yell anymore." I nearly vomited in the sink. That night, I searched every drawer in the house. I needed evidence. Anything. I tore through Brandon's closet. Nothing. I even flipped his briefcase upside down. Receipts, gum wrappers, spare keys. And one folded piece of thick paper that didn't belong. It was yellowed, worn at the edges, a psychic prediction sheet. One of those palm reader forms people fill out at street fairs. At the top, in looping handwriting was karmic paths. Dual lovers, one will fall. Then bullet points underneath. One mother, one mistress, one hidden child. Betrayal comes through the innocent. At the bottom, in bold red ink, only one stays in the story. No date, no name, just dread, curling in my stomach like a fist. When I confronted Brandon, he laughed again, louder this time, manic. You really think I believe in psychics? Jesus, Lauren, you need help. Who's Lena? I hissed. His face drained. Then he smiled. That kind of flat, patronizing smile men give women when they think we're losing our grip. There's no Lena. I showed him the drawing. He stared for a second too long. Kids make stuff up all the time, he said. But she's always watching us, Brandon. He said nothing, just turned and walked away. 2 days later, he suggested we take a break. For my mental health. He said he'd take Theo to his mom's for the weekend. Let me rest. Reset, he called it. I let them go. Then I followed. I watched them drive. I trailed at a distance. He didn't take the freeway to his mom's. He took back roads, veered right at a light he should have turned left, and finally pulled into a gated driveway I didn't recognize. I parked up the street, walked, watched from behind a tree. A woman came out to greet them. Red dress, long black hair. Theo ran into her arms like he'd known her forever, and Brandon kissed her. I stood there frozen, gravel cutting into my feet through the soles of my sneakers, stomach lurching like the ground had tilted beneath me. Brandon kissed her, full on the mouth. Not a quick peck, not a "this was a mistake" forehead brush. No, this was practiced, familiar, intimate. She laughed, tossed her hair over her shoulder, her arm looped around Theo like he was hers. Like he belonged to her. I grabbed my phone and snapped a photo. My hands were shaking so bad I took 3, 4, 5 just to be sure. I zoomed in on Theo's little face, smiling, cheeks flushed. And there it was. That same red heart he always drew between the stick figures. It was right there, in the flesh, pulsing and real in front of me. I stumbled back to the car and drove straight to my sister's apartment. I didn't even call first. I just showed up, dropped onto her couch, and shoved the phone into her hands. She flipped through the pictures, jaw slowly slackening. "Holy shit," she whispered. "You were right. I'm not crazy." "No," she agreed. "But this is beyond cheating. This is some next-level psychological warfare." That night, we combed through everything. I pulled out old receipts, weird notes, pictures Theo had drawn, anything I could find. My sister digitized the images and ran a few through a visual analyzer she used at work. "Lauren," she said, eyes fixed on her screen, "he didn't just have Theo draw her. He trained him to." "What do you mean?" She showed me the data. Patterns, stylistic repetition, reinforced shapes. He's been reinforcing imagery. Same hair, same colored dress, always a heart, always smiling. I felt sick. "He's coaching our son?" She nodded slowly. "Like Lena's being built into his memory. As if I was the one being erased?" That's when I knew this wasn't just cheating. This was a takeover. The next morning, I went to the gate where I'd seen them. I waited until a delivery van buzzed in, then I walked right in behind it, marched to the door, rang the bell. She answered. She didn't look surprised. She looked smug.
Her eyes flicked over me like I was a menu item she'd already tasted and discarded. "Can I help you?" she said sweetly. I said nothing, just stared. "I'm Lauren. Brandon's wife?" That got her attention. She blinked once, but didn't step back. "Ex-wife," she corrected softly. "No, actually." She tilted her head. "Oh, he didn't tell you?" I laughed, the kind of laugh that makes strangers nervous. "I don't know what fantasy world you live in, Lena." "It's Liana, but don't worry. Theo calls me Lena. Easier." I felt like I was falling backward off a cliff. My mouth went dry. She leaned on the doorframe. "You should go. I want my son." She gave a tiny shake of her head. "He's happy here." And before I could process that punch to the chest, Theo's voice piped up behind her. "Mommy!" I stepped forward, but Lena's hand touched his shoulder first. "Not that, Mommy, sweetie. Go draw your family picture. Remember who's in it." Theo nodded and ran off without another word. Like I was no one. Like I'd never existed. I turned and walked, numb, dissociated. But halfway down the block, my phone buzzed again. A new message, no name, just an image. It was a scan of another note. Handwritten. The same handwriting as before. "He promised you'd forget yourself first. But he forgot. I never left." I stared at it, throat tightening. Attached was a photo. Not from the house this time. It was from the hospital. Maternity ward. The date in the top corner. 6 years ago. Brandon holding a baby. But it wasn't Theo. The name on the bracelet read Evangeline. And the mother's name was Liana Cross. Evangeline. The name clung to the back of my throat like a secret I was never meant to say aloud. My hands trembled as I stared at the hospital photo. Brandon, smiling, hair shorter, thinner, eyes younger, holding a baby wrapped in a soft pink blanket. And next to him, Liana, wearing the same smile she gave me at the door, that same haunting calm, that red lipstick composure that made you feel like you were already losing before the game even started. But the date, that was the gut punch. It was 4 months before our wedding, which meant he had a child with her before me, while he was with me. I sat in the car, too numb to cry. Somewhere inside my chest, something was caving in. I thought about Theo, about his drawings, about the way he looked at her like she was home, and I realized she wasn't just a mistress. She was the original. I was the affair. I was the replacement, the backup plan. A knock on my window snapped me back to reality. I nearly screamed. It was Brandon. I hadn't even heard him pull up. He yanked the passenger door open and slid in before I could lock it. "What the fuck are you doing here?" he hissed, glancing nervously back toward the house. "You have a daughter, Brandon? You have a whole child with her?" He sighed, dragging his hands over his face. "It's not what you think," he said. It's never is, Brandon. She was pregnant before we broke up. I didn't know. She didn't tell me until after we were married. And you just kept seeing her? Kept both families? He looked at me like I was the insane one. You don't understand. Liana. She's complicated. You're complicated. This is sociopathic. He reached for my hand and I recoiled. Please, just listen. No, you listen. You let her brainwash our son. You brought her into my home. You let Theo think she belongs in our family photo like I'm the one who needs to be replaced. She's sick, he said suddenly. I blinked. Excuse me? She's got delusions. She said some psychic told her she and I were destined, that Theo was her second chance. She thinks she's reclaiming something. You're blaming her? She manipulated me, Lauren. She threatened to keep Evangeline from me if I didn't. I shook my head. So you lied to everyone, created a double life, and now you're scared because the lies are catching up to you? He didn't answer. I turned away, chest heaving. I want full custody of Theo. He snorted. That's not gonna happen. You want a bet? You don't have anything. Oh, I have everything, I hissed. Drawings, photos, notes. Even Theo's drawings were scanned and time-stamped. My sister created a preliminary custody brief. We were ready to file. Until I found the envelope, tucked under Theo's pillow, cream-colored, no stamp, just my name in red pen. Inside, one line. He was never yours to begin with. And a photo. This time, it wasn't of Brandon. It was of me. But I wasn't alone. I was holding a baby, newborn, swaddled in a hospital blanket. Except the date was wrong, too early. The tag on the bassinet said Theodore Cross, and under Mother, it said Liana. At first, I thought it was a fabrication, a digital mock-up, some sick mind game Liana was playing to rattle me into silence. But then, I touched the photo. It was glossy, real, not a printout, not pixelated. The edges were bent like it had been handled a lot, like it had history. My throat closed up. I turned it over. A scribbled date. The same date on Theo's birth certificate. I stumbled to my desk drawer and yanked it open, fumbling through folders until I found his medical records, the hospital bracelet, the ultrasound snapshots, the first appointment card with my name on it. I stared down at the forms and felt the blood drain from my face. My name wasn't on the hospital intake sheet. I flipped page after page, and there it was again. Liana Cross, listed as Mother of Record. It didn't make sense. I was there. I gave birth. I remembered it. The pain, the tears, Brandon holding my hand. Unless none of it was true. Unless I wasn't meant to be in the picture at all. Unless I'd been written in and someone else had been written out. I called the hospital. Hi, this is Lauren Cross. I'm trying to get a copy of my son's delivery records from July 3rd, 2018. Sure, said the receptionist. Can you confirm the patient's name? Theodore Cross. Okay, let me check. That delivery was recorded under a Liana Cross? I forced a smile. Yes, that's my sister-in-law. I think there was an error. Can I just confirm who was listed as mother? A pause. I'm sorry, ma'am, but only the legal guardian or mother on record can access that. I hung up before she could finish. Legal mother. Not me. I tried to breathe. I needed Brandon to explain. I needed him to tell me this was a mistake, that the hospital made a clerical error, that he hadn't erased me. But when I walked into the kitchen, he was already there, sitting at the table with Liana. They looked up in unison. No surprise, no panic, almost like they'd been waiting for me. "I'm calling the cops," I said, reaching for my phone. Liana raised her hand, calm, unbothered. "Lauren, sit down. Get out of my house. It's not your house." Brandon's voice, this time, quiet, final. "What the fuck are you talking about?" "You need to calm down," Liana said gently, as if I were a patient unraveling. "You forged documents to make it look like—" She slid a folder across the table. I opened it. Inside were papers, real ones. Deeds, signatures, power of attorney forms, a notarized letter, all of them signed. By me. Except I never signed them. My signature, my name, in my handwriting, on papers I'd never seen. "I had someone reconstruct your consent digitally. It's legal now. Just like it was when you transferred temporary custody to us 3 months ago." My knees buckled. "You tricked me. You were unwell. We were protecting Theo. You mean you stole him?" She leaned forward. "No, Lauren, we're just taking him back." Brandon said nothing. That silence broke something in me. I stood. "You're both insane if you think I'm walking out of here without my son." "Don't," she said sharply. "We filed for full custody on the grounds of your instability, your breakdowns, your hallucinations, that little psychic phase you went through." My mouth opened, closed. "Remember the notes?" she continued. "The ones you think were being sent to you? The ones you showed your sister?" I froze. "I wrote them," she said with a smile. "Every single one. Because I wanted you to know what it feels like to be forgotten." I lunged, but Brandon caught my arm. His eyes met mine. Dead. Hollow. "She's not the villain, Lauren," he said. I slapped him. He didn't flinch. And then, like a nightmare folding in on itself, Theo walked in, clutching a drawing. "Daddy, Mommy," he beamed, holding it up. There was Liana, Brandon, Theo, and a gravestone in the corner, labeled Lauren.
I didn't sleep that night. Not because I didn't try, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw that drawing, the gravestone, my name on it. Like my son had already buried me in his mind. Like they had buried me there. My sister stayed on the phone with me for hours, whispering like she was trying to talk me off a ledge. "You're still his mom. You're still real. They're playing mind games. But we can fight this. We will." But deep down, I wasn't sure anymore. Every legal door was sealed. Every paper, every form, every memory. They had rewritten everything with surgical precision, like I had never existed. And still, something didn't sit right. So I did the one thing they never expected. I went back to the psychic. The same one who had first given me that cryptic note. The one I'd brushed off as spiritual nonsense until her handwriting started showing up in my mailbox. She lived in a crumbling brownstone on the edge of town. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked again. Still silence. Just as I turned to leave, the door creaked open. She stood there barefoot in a robe, hair long and silver, eyes hollow, like she hadn't slept in weeks. I was wondering how long it would take. "You sent me those notes. I warned you." I followed her inside. Incense burned low. The room was covered in scraps of paper, drawings, candles, some burned down to the wick. Tarot cards fanned out across the floor. "I need answers," I said. "They've erased me." She tilted her head. No, they've rewritten you. Big difference. Brandon, Liana, they're saying Tio was never mine. But I remember giving birth. I have the scar, the trauma, the pain. That's not fake. She stared through me. Memory is the easiest thing to edit, especially if the editor is someone you trust. What are you saying? She gestured to the table. A single card flipped over, face up. The lovers. Again, just like last time. Don't you have any other cards? I snapped. She didn't blink. It's not the cards, Lauren. It's what you bring to them. The lovers, reversed, is betrayal, duality, false choices, illusions of connection. I swallowed hard. She said I wasn't meant to be part of the picture, that he was never mine to begin with. The psychic leaned forward. Do you want to know who was? I hesitated. She picked up a folded paper from her desk and handed it to me. I opened it, and my heart stopped. It was a photo of Brandon, much younger, college maybe, with a woman. Not Liana, not me. She looked just like me, but older, worn. She's his mother, the psychic said. What? The original one, Brandon's biological mother. You two could be sisters. That's why he chose you. You were a template. I stared at the woman's eyes. Dead. Cold. The psychic continued. Her name was Lorraine. She died in a psychiatric hospital. Brandon was a child when it happened. He watched the whole thing. Nobody believed him, said he made it up. The state buried it. He changed his name when he turned 18. Why are you telling me this? Because Liana's not in control. My breath caught. He is. A phone buzzed. Mine. Unknown number. A photo. Tio, standing alone in a dark room surrounded by mirrors. Caption. You see him, but does he still see you? I turned to the psychic. Where is he? What have they done to my son? But she was already backing away, eyes glazed, whispering something over and over again. Not yours, not mine, hers. Not yours, not mine, hers. I ran out, heart jackhammering in my chest. I didn't know where I was going until my phone buzzed again. A calendar alert. One I didn't set. Tomorrow, 11:11 a.m. Title, Family Reunification. Ceremony. Location, the old Willow Chapel. The one that had been condemned for years. I hit the gas. If this was where they're taking Tio, then I was going to burn the whole fucking ceremony down.
The Willow Chapel looked abandoned from the outside. Weather-beaten stone, boards nailed across the doors like a warning. But my calendar buzzed again as I parked. ETA 2 minutes. Don't be late. The air tasted metallic. The sky was sickly white. I didn't knock. I kicked the door in, and what I saw stopped my breath cold. Inside the chapel, pews had been pulled into a circle. Candles lined the floor like a ritual. At the center stood Brandon, dressed in black, holding Theo's hand. Across from him, Liana, in white, veiled, hands outstretched. But that wasn't what made me scream. Behind them, projected against the chapel wall, was me. A slideshow of photos, all grayscale, like a memorial. I was attending my own funeral. Theo turned toward me and smiled. "Mommy, you came." Brandon looked back too, calm. almost proud. "What the fuck is this?" I shouted. "It's your release ceremony," he said. "I'm not dead." "Not physically, but you've served your role. The memory of you, your part in this story, is no longer needed." Liana stepped forward. "You weren't erased, Lauren. You were archived. You're both insane." "Probably, but it's a closed system now, a stable family loop. You were the glitch." "I raised him," I screamed. "I birthed him. I loved him, and you took everything." Brandon tilted his head. "Did you?" He reached into his coat, pulled out a vial. "Do you want proof?" he asked. I froze. "DNA test," he said simply. "I took it before this unraveling started. Had to know for sure." He held it out. I snatched the envelope, tore it open, and everything inside me imploded. Paternity, 99.9% match, Grandin Cross. Maternity, 0% match, Lauren Cross. "No," I whispered. "I told you," Liana said gently, stepping closer. "You weren't erased. You were never written in." "You're lying," I croaked. "You forged this. You planted—" "There was a surrogate," Brandon said flatly. "Leona couldn't carry. You were the stand-in. A convenient vessel. One who thought she'd been chosen." "No, no, no, no." "You said you remembered the pain, but trauma doesn't equal motherhood." I dropped to my knees, fingers gripping the floor. Thea walked over and touched my hair. "It's okay, Mommy. They said you're going to be a star now." My vision swam. Behind them, the slideshow played the last image, a family portrait. Brandon, Liana, Theo, a black silhouette where I had been. Captioned, "Erased for stability." I reached for Theo one last time. He stepped back, and Brandon whispered, almost lovingly, "Let go, Lauren. We already buried you."